It had been 5 years since I first started to secretly like Sarah. Then, one day, out of the blue, she asked me to marry her. Of course, I said yes. I was over the moon. But our wedding day turned out to be nothing like I had imagined. As we were about to say our vows, her ex-boyfriend showed up. He was wearing a ridiculous disguise, pretending to be the makeup artist. Sarah recognized him instantly and pulled off his mask. Just like that, our wedding venue became a stage for their reunion. She didn't even hesitate. She grabbed his hand and rushed out, leaving me standing there with just one sentence hanging in the air. "Alex, I'm sorry. I've always thought of you as a brother." In that moment, all the wonderful things I had ever seen in her just vanished. Later, I heard that her ex had another argument with her. She got into her car and drove off in the rain to find him, and she ended up in a car accident. People around us started betting on when I would go back to the hospital to take care of her, just like I always used to, without a single complaint. But even as Sarah was about to be discharged, I still hadn't visited. Finally, she couldn't hold back anymore and called me. "Alex," she said, her voice weak. "Didn't anyone tell you I've been in the hospital?" But it wasn't Sarah who answered the phone. It was Emily. Someone I knew was her rival. "I'm pregnant," Emily said coldly. "Don't disturb us." I had spent 3 whole months planning that wedding. It wasn't at the wedding itself that I first felt something was wrong. But now, looking back, it all hit me like a wall. When was it? Maybe it was when I tried on my suit. I came out of the dressing room feeling nervous, and she was so engrossed in her phone that she barely looked up. She just said, "You look great." And then, almost as an afterthought, "You look good in anything." Or maybe it was at the hotel when we were confirming the venue. She just stared out the window, lost in her own thoughts, and I had to awkwardly call her name a couple of times to get her attention. I had already started to feel unsure back then. I even remember telling her, after a few drinks one night, "Sarah, it's still not too late if you have any regrets. Just please don't play with me." I thought about it a lot that day. I was afraid she would regret marrying me. I was scared that our long friendship would turn into something unbearable. But I needed to be a little drunk just to find the courage to ask such a simple question. Yet, she was more of a coward than I was. It was clear she hadn't let go of her past, yet she still made promises to me. "There's nothing to regret, Alex," she had said. "Aren't we the most suited for each other?" She had also added, "Sorry, Alex, I've just been really busy recently, maybe ignoring you a bit. Will you believe me?" Sometimes people fall into this strange confidence that blinds them, making them naive, and I believed her words. From the night before the wedding until that morning, I had been so tense and excited. My palms were sweating even as I put on my wedding suit. But there had already been hints before, little things that I had chosen to ignore. Things took a turn for the worse as soon as we arrived at the venue. I overheard some relatives talking about how the makeup artist didn't seem very professional, dressed like he was about to crash the party. I was confused, but also a little curious because this makeup team had been recommended by Sarah's friends. Part of me felt relieved, thinking maybe I was just overthinking things before, because Sarah seemed to care now. When I finally went into the dressing room, I saw the guy everyone had been talking about. Honestly, I was starting to get angry. No guy wants to see such a scene on one of the most important days of his life, a stranger causing trouble. The white suit he was wearing made him stand out, and even with a mask on, you could tell he was good-looking. I didn't say anything because I wanted things to go smoothly. I quietly sat in front of the mirror, waiting for him to start the makeup. But his hands kept shaking uncontrollably. I didn't know what was wrong with him. Maybe he had brought his personal issues to work, but it was really unprofessional. Eventually, he messed up my hairstyle, and that was it. I couldn't take it anymore. Just as I was about to speak up, Sarah suddenly got up and pulled off his mask. In that split second, tears welled up in both of their eyes. I froze. I finally recognized him. It was Eric. I had seen his photos in Sarah's computer files. We had even discussed whether to delete the file or not. After all, what current boyfriend wouldn't care about his girlfriend's ex? In the end, I had convinced myself that it was just a part of her past. But today, on our wedding day, her past had walked right in. He had pretended to be a makeup artist, turning our special day into their grand reunion. No groom has ever felt more awkward than I did. All the guests were outside, waiting. Eric, his eyes red, suddenly bowed and apologized. "Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to see her happiness from afar, with my own eyes." After saying that, he turned and left. Sarah quickly chased after him. After a few steps, she stopped, looking back at me with guilt in her eyes. "Alex, I'm sorry. I've always thought of you as a brother." Brother? So, the brother in Sarah's heart was someone she could say, "Let's get married to"? Could a brother be someone you kiss, hug, and take wedding photos with? Just like that, in an instant, I watched her silhouette fade away. The word brother echoed in my ears. All the reasons why I had liked her disappeared in that instant. All that was left in my mind was, what do I do now? I hadn't just embarrassed myself, I had embarrassed my parents too. I hesitated to go out, but time kept ticking. Sarah sure ran fast, leaving this whole mess for me to deal with. I was ready to change out of my suit and go out to explain, but just as I was getting up, the door suddenly swung open. "Alex, are you still in need of a bride?" It was Emily, Sarah's sworn enemy, standing in the doorway with a smirk on her face. I had a gut feeling she was there to mock me. I had often sided with Sarah's company against hers, and I was feeling a bit worn out. "If you're here for a laugh," I said, "have you had enough? Why bother being kind if I was just going to disappoint my parents?" Her eyes turned serious. "Why?" she asked. "Why help me? Are there any conditions?" I shot back a string of questions. "Why? I'm just in a good mood today and felt like doing a good deed. But since you ask, my condition is that if I help you this time, you'll owe me one in the future." I looked at her, a slightly creepy feeling in my gut. But honestly, I had no other choice right then. I needed a woman to present to all the family and friends waiting outside. I took a deep breath, calmed myself down, and sat in front of the mirror to touch up my makeup. Then, at my dad's urging, I linked arms with Emily and walked to the ceremony hall. Emily was taller and more attractive than Sarah. Some who knew Sarah noticed right away. We went through the motions, but when the officiant asked us to exchange vows, Emily seriously said, "Alex, you won't regret choosing me." It all felt a bit weird, and I instinctively avoided her gaze. After we saw off the guests, my dad couldn't hold back his tears anymore. Feeling a bit overwhelmed, I helped wipe his tears. "Sorry, Dad, for embarrassing you like this." My dad looked toward Emily, about to bow, but she stopped him. "First, Emily, thank you so much," my dad said. "No, Uncle," Emily replied. "I have my own motives. I've liked Alex for a long time, but he never noticed, so I resorted to this. Pretending to be a couple comes with play acting. And confession, too. Emily was odd, but nice. Emily continued playing her role, getting a driver to take my parents home. Then, she drove me home. It turned out she rode a motorcycle that day. I was a bit surprised. I found out later that she originally wasn't planning to be there. The highway was jammed, so she rode her bike between the cars just to save the last shred of my dignity. My phone was full of missed calls, including from Sarah's parents who couldn't reach her. The rest were work-related, but at that moment I didn't want to deal with any of it. Later, when the traffic eased, the motorcycle sped up. The cool wind seemed to blow away my troubling thoughts. Instead of taking me home, Emily drove to her villa on the hill. She had already set up a bath with aroma candles and a massage. Everything I needed to unwind. When I got out of the bath, it was already 10 at night. I can't deny it did make me feel less weary. The yard was filled with fireworks, and suddenly the sky was ablaze with colors. The fireworks formed words. Alex, want to consider me? I found myself staring at the sky in disbelief. Emily's voice spoke from behind me. Sorry, I should have given you time to think, but I've had these fireworks ready for a while. Yesterday, I even thought about knocking you out just to bring you here. In the hazy light of the night and the brilliant fireworks, I noticed Emily's ears had turned red. The day's events were overwhelming. Emily had lived in our community growing up. She always kept her distance, rarely talking. As a kid, I was quite the outgoing troublemaker. Even if she didn't pay much attention to me, I'd still go out seeking her company. I'd bring her all sorts of snacks. She was indifferent at first, until once she was sick, and I ended up caring for her the entire afternoon while all the adults weren't around. After that, she became someone very dear in my heart. Emily didn't have much of a sweet tooth back then, so most of her snacks went to me. Then, her mom struck it rich in business, and she was sent abroad by middle school age. I was really bummed for a while, but time passed, and when we met again as adults, things turned awkward. Somehow, the company she established when she returned to the country ended up competing directly with Sarah's. The two couldn't get along, and me working at Sarah's company led to constant tension with Emily, so I was always a bit hesitant about facing Emily. I didn't give Emily an answer that night, partly because it was so sudden, and also because I was feeling drained from the roller coaster with Sarah. When did I start having feelings for Sarah? It was probably during our sophomore year. That summer she gave me a ride home because we lived near each other. Maybe it was just bad luck, but we got caught in a storm. Her car swerved and hit a guardrail. We were on the highway. By then I had a head injury, and my vision went blurry. Sarah's stomach was hurt, but she still half carried me down the highway, step by step. I can still remember her constantly calling my name, begging me to stay awake. Later, when I woke up in the hospital, her eyes were red from crying. She hugged me tightly and said she was really scared something had happened to me. Was that her boundary between being just friends or more? She'd remember my birthday, even send gifts if she was out of town for work. She'd care for my injuries, made sure to have meals delivered when I was on campus, and remember to send me things I liked on holidays. Just when I thought she might reciprocate my feelings, she punched me right in the heart. It was my birthday, and I decided with my dorm buddies to confess to her. I put on my favorite clothes and spent 2 hours fixing my hair. But when I got there, she showed up with another guy and said he was her boyfriend. I was too naive back then, thinking I had misunderstood and had just been bothersome. After that, I consciously kept my distance. Still, she treated me like before. She said she saw me as a brother, and she shared her relationship troubles with me. She even asked me how to win Eric over. I found myself stuck in an emotional mess. Those were such painful days for me. Even when she called, I felt guilty for picking up. I forced myself to set boundaries, just being a friend. Later, her company hit a rough patch, and Eric broke up with her because of school. She drank herself silly day after day. Every time someone would contact me, I'd end up driving to the bar to pick her up, cleaning up her messes. She drank until she had a stomach bleed. I took care of her in the hospital while handling issues at her company. I cheered her on and asked my family for business contacts to help her out, to aid her recovery. I even took cooking classes to make her meals cleaner and more comforting. Looking back, I can't understand why I went to such lengths. Eventually, her business started picking up again. Her confession to me was casual at best. After dinner, as we walked in the park, she suddenly held my hand and said, "Alex, I think we're quite a match. Why not be together?" I was blind, foolishly not seeing the truth. She only thought I was suitable to settle with. That's why everything was casual. From the confession to the suit and the wedding venue. Why did she suddenly recommend a makeup artist? I get it now. She saw the guest list and recognized Eric at a glance. From the start, she planned to use my wedding to sacrifice her love. Seeing our wedding photos at home felt like a cruel joke. I remember the photographer telling her to smile more. What did Sarah say? She said she didn't smile much and wanted natural shots, but I remember those vibrant pictures in the studio. She looked genuinely happy in them, right? Staring at the wedding photo, her indifferent look alongside my seemingly happy grin was unbearable. People are often foolish and deceive themselves. I'd seen this picture many times, but only now faced the truth. I took it down, tossed it into the trash, along with everything else linking us. All those symbolic items I had bought for us. The watches, rings, clothes, shoes. Sarah used them for a day and shelved them. I dug them out from the nightstand and cleared the house of anything from the past, just like erasing these memories. I thought about selling the house, but Sarah is unreachable, and it's in both our names. I have shares in her company too, but I'm done with that. It wasn't what I liked doing anyway. I sold my portion to the highest bidder, not caring who it was then. Then I realized it was to one of the founders who had fallen out with Sarah. She teased, "Do men hold grudges this much? With these shares, things won't be rosy for Sarah." "Think what you will," I said. "Just finish the deal quickly." Do I hate her? I'm not sure. I just feel drained. I no longer want to be part of any of this. Selling to her was about the best offer, not revenge. What she does to Sarah isn't my concern. I'm exhausted, and I'm done with Sarah. I took the money and left the city to travel at full speed. I hadn't taken a break in forever because I was always figuring out what Sarah wanted. Somewhere along the way, this relationship made me lose myself entirely, but now I've got enough saved up to live comfortably. I've always been a carefree person, fond of sharing my life online. I even had a decent following for the longest time. I posted videos of cooking for Sarah. My longtime followers called me a love-struck fool. They were spot on. People who like you can easily tell when something's off. Just a new video about a place I visited, and the comments were like, "Dude, did you break up?" They saw right through me. I replied yes, and asked a friend to raffle the valuables out from that cleaning spree. Just watches and rings mostly. The rest got tossed. Surfing on the islands turned out so much fun. I've wanted to try for ages, but was waiting on Sarah's schedule. Waiting and kept waiting until I'd work so long and never went once. The sea is so clear. Mostly, I'd sunbathe and daydream on the beach. I stumbled upon a bustling bar nearby. The bartender mixed a good coconut dream with local coconuts. I always thought it was a light drink, but 2 or 3 glasses in, and my head started spinning. I regretted drinking myself tipsy alone. Some sketchy guy tried to make a move, and suddenly someone shoved him off. Man, that person had an amazing figure. I was kind of amazed. They sighed, "Alex, could you be any dumber getting drunk like this?" I was wobbly, so she caught me. The bar was a storm of mixed perfumes, yet she smelled good, a slightly bitter, woody scent. The dizziness faded somewhat. She helped me out of the bar and asked where I stayed. I had sobered up a bit. Turned out it was Emily. No clue why seeing her angry was kind of amusing. I moved closer and hugged her neck, saying, "Emily, don't you want to take me to your place?" "Alex, do you know what you're saying?" she asked. "Are you hesitating? Are women always hesitant around me?" I looked up at her. "You don't like me anymore? Am I not good looking? What's wrong with me?" "Alex, you're drunk." I didn't want to hear what she said next, so I just kissed her. The sea breeze felt wet. She was caught off guard just for a moment, then deepened the kiss. In the cramped car, she restrained herself as she held me. I reached out to touch the sweat on her neck. Her eyes were kind of red. I felt a bit regretful. I wanted to leave, but she pulled me back. Then I said, "There's no chance to regret." I felt like a boat in the ocean. Waves engulfed me, then pushed me out again. She whispered in my ear, "Alex, you like it?" The words crept into my heart, tickling a bit. I didn't reply, just kissed her back. No need for words. The car windows were fogged up. Lying in the car, It was the most peaceful sleep I had in days. When I woke up, I had no clue when she had dropped me off at the hotel. Surprisingly, it wasn't far from where I stayed. She kissed my forehead and said, "I cleaned you up a bit this morning. There's hot water in the bathroom for a soak." I looked around. Drinking screws things up. I wasn't totally drunk, just a bit tipsy, but with Emily and me now, I didn't know how to handle it. Emily saw me spacing out. She just led me to the bathroom. I looked at her. "Want to drink more?" "But drinking on an empty stomach in the morning isn't great. Let's do it tonight." I saw the eagerness in her eyes. "I'm in, no kidding." I shooed her out of the bathroom, took off my robe, and started a bath. The temperature was just right. After the bath, I planned to slip away while Emily wasn't looking. But when I opened the door, there she was, bringing out a steaming bowl of seafood porridge. Emily was staying in the presidential suite. The kitchen here was pretty big. There were fresh side dishes she had cooked. I admit, sleeping till now, I was hungry. Being an amateur foodie, I'm quite picky, but after eating her food, I felt she might take over my turf. I thought, after eating, I'd sneak out. Then she suggested riding jet skis. I was kind of tempted, wanted to play. "Fine, I'll leave after the fun." She drove me around the sea. Waves splashed on my face. The morning sun refracted through the droplets in a rainbow. When the jet ski stopped, she suddenly kissed me on the face. I was stunned. Things were getting out of control. Before I could react, the kiss traveled from my cheek to my lips, our breaths mingling. I was scared of falling off, passively being kissed by her. The sea kept lapping the shore. Instinctively, I held on to her, which seemed to encourage her. She deepened the kiss. By the time I tried to push her away, it seemed like I was playing hard to get. When the kiss ended, my head was spinning. On the beach, we held hands walking back, like a couple. I was a bit anxious, trying to pull my hand away, but she held tighter. She leaned in, gritting her teeth, and whispered in my ear, "Alex, there's no turning back now." I didn't know what to say. We nearly reached the hotel. I couldn't help asking, "You don't mind my past?" "I do, of course," she replied. "So let's treat it like a dream. Once awake, let's return to reality." As I was thinking that, she pulled me into a damp embrace. "Alex, you idiot," she said. "I mind that I didn't protect you well. I mind not returning sooner. I mind not stealing you away so you wouldn't get hurt by people like that." When Sarah called off the wedding, I wasn't sad. Packing up the wedding house didn't make me sad either, but hearing this made me feel wronged. I have blamed myself more than Sarah during these times. I hated myself, pitied my stupidity, being played around like this. But time won't go back. I could only keep persuading myself to move forward. But now, someone was telling me she too felt guilty. She regretted not protecting me well. I can't describe this feeling, as if I, who Sarah always brushed off, was actually someone others wanted to handle with care. This time, I didn't refuse her hug. I always resisted Emily's appearance, thinking feelings came too fast, or maybe I was scared. But at this moment, I wanted to embrace this person. Two people's journey seems more flavorful than one. Emily is attentive and good with plans. We went diving together. The underwater world was poles apart from the land. Little fish swam past our faces. Suddenly, someone set off fireworks above the sea. Sparks flowed down like bright stars rising in the deep blue sea. The stars began forming letters. Alex, marry me. Emily really puts thought into things. She said we had missed out on too much time. In the future, it takes more effort. Otherwise, life passes in a blink. Coming out of the sea, she asked for my answer from earlier. I pinched her cheek. "Emily, you're rushing it. My last marriage ended abruptly. My parents haven't even recovered from it yet. Telling them I'm marrying again, not to mention they can't handle it. Even I'm a bit overwhelmed." Emily was exceptionally persistent on this. No matter what, she'd bring it up repeatedly. At night, she seemed tireless. "Like it?" she asked repeatedly. I mumbled, "Yes." She suddenly stopped sounding resentful. "Then you won't even make it official?" I had no choice but to soften my voice. "I will." Then a torrent of waves flooded over me, inundating me one after another. We've been traveling for over a month until Emily's family insisted she come back home. She returned with me. I wasn't sure how to face everyone at first, but Emily summed it up with just one sentence. When her friends asked who I was, she said, "This is my soon-to-be spouse." Her family was already on board. Her dad seemed unfazed by our relationship and cautiously asked, "Alex, when are you guys planning to get married? No pressure, but I know someone who can pick the perfect date if you need it." He handed me a watch, saying, "It looks great on you, Alex." As soon as we stepped out of the living room, Emily's brother cheerfully pulled me aside. "So, you're finally going to marry my sister? Why else would you wear our family heirloom?" Leaving Emily's house, I felt sweat on my back. Emily was smiling the whole time, but her smile faded later when she came with me to my place. There was a package at the door. When I opened it, I found a diamond watch the size of a pigeon egg. There was a card. "Alex, wishing you happiness this time." Even Sarah didn't get it wrong. I felt happy and amused as I watched Emily's frown. I kissed her and said, "She finally got something right. I am really happy." I didn't throw the watch away or return it. Didn't hurt to keep Sarah's gift. Instead, I donated it as a way to give back. After seeing the watch, Emily didn't look happy. When I asked her why, she said she didn't have the right to be mad. "Oh," I thought, feeling that's a bold statement from her. But eventually I gave her the right. On her birthday, she wished for us to be official. So I went along with it. That day, we went to the marriage office. Being with someone you love can really bring out the goofiness in you. We decided to have the wedding on an island we had traveled to. We didn't invite many people, so not a lot of folks knew we got married. As for our honeymoon, we planned to wait until Emily's next long vacation. Just when I thought I'd never hear from Sarah again, her friend called me. She said Sarah was in a car accident. I didn't feel much. I asked politely about her recovery and when we could settle our shared possessions. Her friend passed on my words, and Sarah said, "Take it all." I accepted it without fuss. There are plenty of people who need money. Donating it seemed better than giving it back to her. I quickly sorted out the legal stuff and donated everything to an orphanage. I thought that would be the end of it. Later, Mike shared some gossip. "You know how Sarah got in that accident? Late night in the rain, playing chase, she crashed with Eric." I just smiled and said nothing. She didn't mean much to me anymore. Their relationship seemed shallow. Because of some business I did, Sarah got booted from the company. One afternoon while I was fishing by the lake, I got a call from Eric. He accused me of kicking her while she was down. I calmly told him I sold my shares before her accident. He demanded to know why I didn't give Sarah a heads up. Selling to her rival was revenge, according to him. It seemed immature. Sarah used to say she wanted to protect his innocence. If that's her priority, so be it, as long as no innocent parties get hurt. "Mr. Eric," I told him, "I sell my shares to whoever I choose. By the way, why did you run off with someone else's bride at a wedding?" I didn't bother listening to his reply, and blocked him. Later, I went to a work party with my buddy Mike. To my surprise, Sarah's friend Wendy was there. I wanted to leave right away to avoid any drama, but she stopped me and said disdainfully, "Alex, give it a rest. Do you know how long Sarah's been in the hospital?" "How's that my business?" I replied. "Just so you know, I'm married." "No way, Alex. You can't even lie right. Did you swallow everyone's confidence here? Or do you think the world revolves around just you and these two women?" She couldn't come up with a comeback and just said, "Alex, you'll regret this." The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I have a picture of my marriage certificate with Emily, and she's kept it pinned on Twitter. But to be honest, I'm kind of nervous about it. I'm always worried about what people might say, especially after what happened with Sarah. In our circle, people have been treating me like a joke. But bumping into Sarah's friends again made me realize the more I worry, the more they push it. So I just went ahead and tweeted, "Been happy for a long time now." That night, Emily flew back from a work trip, looking absolutely radiant, not even trying to hide it. We went for a private dinner, but for some reason Emily's stomach was upset and she had no appetite. I was worried and wanted to take her to the hospital, but she stopped me. I thought maybe the food just didn't sit right with her, so when we got home, I made her some special noodles. She picked up a bite, but then the nausea hit hard. She rushed to the bathroom almost in tears. This time she couldn't convince me otherwise, and we drove straight to the hospital. We got some shocking news. Emily was pregnant. I had a roller coaster of emotions. One minute I was thrilled about the baby, the next anxious about her morning sickness. I watched her leaning against my pillow. Her eyes were like deep lakes with my reflection in them. Turns out happiness is really within reach. Once back home, she was treated like a panda in the Lin family. I took charge of her meals, and I even skipped out on business meetings to be with her. She teased me for acting a little silly, but I told her I wasn't fooled. Making money is just a means to a better life, and spending time together as a family is the best life. As her pregnancy progressed, she started sleeping more. One evening, while softly rubbing her swollen legs, a familiar yet strange number called. The voice on the other end furiously asked, "Alex, didn't anyone tell you I'm still in the hospital?" Before I could respond, Emily grabbed the phone saying, "I'm pregnant, leave us alone," and hung up. The caller persisted, but I quickly blocked the number. Sarah's issues seemed never-ending. While hanging out at the supermarket with Mike, I got a random text. "Alex, do you think playing hard to get will make her leave? Do you know how much she loves me? The car accident you had was because she was upset after I mentioned breaking up. Want to try for a runaway bride part 2. Mike was fuming and grabbed my phone. "You jerk! What is your problem? If Emily's your prized possession, keep hidden and stop embarrassing yourself. My buddy's moved on, married, and got a kid. Can't you believe it? Are you evolving your overconfident ways? If you keep bothering him, I'll post this crap online and let people tell you how gross you are." I stood there, shocked at how my usually polite and calm friend Mike could swear like that. He handed my phone back to me with a deep breath, saying, "I know you can't swear, but that's why I'm here." Sarah sat in silence, staring at wedding photos of Alex sent by Wendy. The man in the photos was fully smiling. She couldn't help but wonder about his expression when they took their own wedding photos. She secretly bought the house Alex sold. Not sure why, but when she found out he was selling it, she couldn't resist. Eric had been fighting with her, accusing her of regretting. Words failed her. She might have just been accustomed to Alex's presence, thinking their bond still existed, believing he still loved her. She held on. She waited at the hospital for Alex, but he never showed up. Her heart felt hollow. She couldn't resist calling him, leading to the confrontation with Emily over the phone. Wendy sent Alex's wedding photos after that. She had never been so flustered. Leaving the hospital, she went to the house they once set up together, only to find no trace of him left. Even the couple's toothbrushes were gone, and the wedding photos too. She drove around the city, trying to remember the studio where they took the photos. Finally, she found it and went to see the photographer. The photographer looked at her mockingly, saying, "It's been forever. Where would I find them? Didn't your husband have them?" Sarah was silent, feeling the judgment. The photographer ignored her and turned away, but Sarah became desperate, begging, "You can find them, right? I'll pay you. I've got money." Reluctantly, the photographer searched through their computer files and found a copy of their wedding photos. Looking at Alex, smiling wistfully in the picture, Sarah felt a sharp pain in her chest. She took the photo back and rehung it in what was once their space. Eric called her repeatedly, but she ignored him, causing Eric to angrily text, "You're cheap, Sarah. The unattainable is always better to you." Sarah glanced at the text, chuckling, bitter self-reflection, not even angry. She couldn't deny Eric had a point, but didn't fully agree. She got used to Alex being good to her, thinking he'd always be around. Late at night, she drank way too much, and the living room was filled with smoke. She remembered her first breakup with Eric. It felt like this too, but back then, she'd always wake up to a clean house, and Alex would leave breakfast and a note. It often said, "Can Sarah be happy today?" She didn't want to think about it anymore. Her heart ached, and she reluctantly got up from the couch. She wanted to find something of his in the house, but she searched from late at night until morning and found nothing. Everything about him was gone from the house. Even the tulips on the balcony had withered. She tried to understand what happened with him recently. His video account had erased everything about Sarah. In his new life, there were new people beside him. Seeing their shared experiences made her eyes red with jealousy. Then she found a website with giveaways. She patiently reached out to his fans, offering money to buy those things, but his hardcore fans quickly saw through it. They mocked her harshly and told her those things were already sold and donated in Alex's name. She couldn't bear to look at the messages anymore. Those fans' words were sharp and cut deep. In the end, she bought a matching couple's watch they once had. That day she wanted to make one last try, but only saw Emily pregnant, being carefully helped by him. At that moment, she didn't even have the courage to face him. The last time Alex saw Sarah was when his daughter Lily was 3. He and Emily ran into her at Disney. She bought Lily an Alina Bell doll while waiting in line. Alex coldly pulled his child away, not taking the toy. Sarah looked hurt and said, "Alex, have we become strangers like this? Remember how we survived that time? I was scared to death something would happen to you." "Scared, huh? You almost got me killed, didn't you? Am I supposed to thank you for not succeeding?" Sarah felt a sudden roaring in her head. He knew, he actually knew. She realized she couldn't use that excuse anymore. She stood at Disney for a long, long time, until their warm family of 3 faded from view. Alex nearly forgot about Sarah in his life afterwards, until Lily turned 10, and he unexpectedly received an inheritance. Sarah had died from stomach cancer. Apparently, she had been drinking heavily all these years. Alex looked at the information, feeling some pity, but mostly at a loss for words. Sarah never seemed to grow up in her life. She always seemed irresponsible. Honestly, with his current status, he didn't care about the inheritance. He returned it to Sarah's parents. Emily waited quietly in the car downstairs. He thought about Sarah. At least one good thing came out of it. He ran from the wedding fast enough. Otherwise, who knows how long they would have been entangled. Back home, his daughter ran to him with a sweet smile, and Emily was grilling nearby. From the moment happiness arrived, it never left.